here's your host, Alex Garrett.
Well, this kind of music, you're thinking that maybe it is time to panic. Maybe it is time, with all these cancellations going on. By the way, keeping it real with Alex Garrett, with all these cancellations going on due to coronavirus, that there is this major panic. But it turns out, as I've been reading this, I'll get to the research in a bit, but it turns out I still believe we should be cautious, but continue to go about our daily lives, and maybe, just maybe, listen to a little of Paul Winter, who I met. He's this musician up at the St. John the Divine, and maybe we should just relax a minute, meditate on this, breathe on this, with a little Paul Winter. Because, see, if we just have our minds wrapped on what's on our TV screens, on the real life cancellations, without delving into why this is happening, then, yeah, we're going to whip ourselves into a frenzy, if you will. Here in New York, we had at the Garden, the Big East tournament canceled at halftime of a St. John's leading game against Creighton. And, by the way, they were the number one in the conference. So that's been canceled. All the big tournaments are canceled. Will the big NCAA tournament be canceled? Very possibly. While it may look like a panicked response, I don't know if you've heard of this idea of flattening the curve, but this is what scientists are recommending. Closing down gatherings like Broadway of more than 500 people. This is what scientists are telling us. They're saying, and I'm going to get into Dr. Susie Wiles of the Spinoff. She has this huge curve graphic that is really on Wikipedia. It's really been trending. NBC News picked it up. But, yeah, this coronavirus reaction. By the way, 62 cases in New York City. And I know I made a couple jokes on Facebook and social media about this because at the time it seemed like a far cry, but let's just be honest. Let me be honest. I have to be very cautious. I don't know if you know this, but I get pneumonia literally at the drop of the hat, or used to at times. So when I do see pneumonia as a possible effect of coronavirus and an increased pneumonia, sure, I get nervous, but I also believe in just keeping it going, moving my life along, and being cautious. I don't think any of us will truly stop our lives because of everybody else canceling, but it does show us we have to be cautious. So yeah, I might, say defy the quarantine. I might say the quarantine's a great thing, and it is, but looking internally, feeling like, wow, I have a high risk because I have an esophagus in two parts. I have a high risk of pneumonia possibility, and I've had it and it sucks. Then I will not joke around, and especially when you see people are dying from this and getting sick from this, I will not joke around anymore. We have to tackle this head on. We can't laugh about how everything, even Broadway, has closed for a month. And Italy has lost their businesses to this. They're closing their businesses to this disease, this virus, COVID-19. But now as I'm reading into it more and thinking of it more, it makes sense. There's a hashtag going around on Twitter right now called Flattening the Curve. And what that means is we've got to get to a point where we just contain this virus. And what Dr. Wiles is calling for when she says flattening the curve, she says, let's stay in phase one, which is basically, according to her, the containment. Let's stay in the containment period where we basically, as she calls it, stop embers from turning into another blazing fire. She calls COVID-19 a blazing fire, several fires blazing away. And so we want to contain the embers before it becomes a huge fire and everybody on planet Earth has it. And she recommended banning all international travel, which President Trump has done. She also recommended smartly that people go into isolation if anyone who travels to either, and Major League Baseball is officially canceling spring training and opening day has been delayed. But if you have traveled to any of these countries and coming back, yes, self-quarantining might not be a bad idea. Turns out, if you've got a runny nose or a sore throat, that could apparently be a really mild form of COVID-19, so watch out for that as well. But what they ultimately want to do is promote social distancing, which is what this is. Social distancing, which is canceling all big events. All of them. Because when you don't have a gathering of more than 500 people, it's likely that disease will not spread. So at the onset of the day, when I saw the Big East tournament, when I saw the other tournaments, the golf tournament saying we're not going to golf with fans, NASCAR's not going to have fans on their racetracks. When I saw all that, I said, man, am I supposed to still live my life and go about my daily business? Everything around me is canceling. But then I realized, reading Dr. Wows's thesis here at the spinoff, that we are basically saying we want this to be contained and stop spreading as quickly as possible, and canceling everything might be the best reaction to it. And to go on, she has this graphic, and she's from New Zealand, by the way. And to go on, she says, ultimately the goal is to keep the community transmission of the epidemic curve as flat as possible, keeping the number of cases reported each day as low as we can. So the flattening curve ideology seems to be what is driving these conferences, is driving the pro sports, the NBA and elsewhere, to really take a deep breath and say, let's pause everything. Let's put on pause until we get this figured out. Look, I've seen 2 close family members be buried in the last couple months. I've seen my mom lose some great friends over the last couple of years. I've seen our family lose Dee Dee, and she was in great health. But I don't think we want to see any more lives lost to COVID-19 in our family, if God forbid if anybody has it, or on this planet. I don't think we want to see anybody's lives lost anymore. So, while it may look like a manic thing going on, I think it's a very, 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 very pinpointed effort to say, you know what? This thing's bad. We got to stop it from spreading. We got to continue to tell people to wash their hands. I would say for more than 20 seconds. Soap them up. Lather them up. Keep your hands away from your mouth, eyes, nose. And I have a very bad oral fixation, so I have a tendency to bite my nails. I'm trying to work on that. I swear to God, I am. I'm trying to work on that. Trying my very best to do that. But if we social distance, that would be great. And if we do move into a phase 3, which is the outbreak is either brought under control or everyone has been infected and there are no more susceptible people intact, then we bring in the conversation of vaccination, like a flu vaccination for the coronavirus. And that's still a year or so away from being brought about. And the idea is to reach herd immunity, which means everybody's immune to this COVID-19. And so we just have to, and I agree with Dr. Wiles and other scientists, Dr. Fauci as well, that these cancellations are coming at the right time. It's a godly thing to not put people in harm's way, don't you think? I think so. I think it's a godly thing to say, you know what, let's use science to benefit society and not run away from it. And let's use the doctor's opinions, the scientists' opinions of how we can contain this COVID-19, this coronavirus. Yeah, the videos of corona are kind of funny, but at the end of the day, when real lives are being impacted, I say let's not joke around about this and let's truly do what we got to do to eliminate coronavirus from the world and to eliminate all kind of diseases. The flu, H1N1, all these different things that still exist. Let's do what we can to eliminate it. Let's wash our hands whenever we go station to station or even bring a little Purell bottles and whatnot. But today, canceling these events and maybe the tournament, we'll have to see what they do with the NCAA tournament. My buddy Matt Sambolin calling it March Fanless, as that's the case right now. Could be March Madless. There won't be any madness because the games will be canceled. I think that's going to ultimately happen. I don't know how it doesn't ultimately happen. So, myself, I was like, how come we're panicking? How come we're doing all this? Then when you read what the scientists and the doctors and the people who are in this industry read what they're saying about the COVID-19 outbreak, it makes more sense why they're doing what they're doing. More sense about why they're doing what they're doing. And, sorry about that. And so, if you want to read this, go to thespinoff.co.nz and do look at this and look at Dr. Wiles' feed. I mean, this graphic that she has about the flattening of the curve is on Twitter. I highly recommend you check that out. Now, another interesting project going on because there was, in the news this week, some more science news, actually a good news, that according to, I believe it was Cambridge, according to Cambridge, amazingly, a second person has been cured of HIV. I mean, isn't that amazing? A second person has been cured of HIV, and they say it was with the help of stem cells, believe it or not. So then I thought, well, you know, stem cells always been a controversy, but why? Yeah, I don't want to be using embryos, but again, if science says it will help people, maybe we should help people, because that's the godly thing to do. That's why I thought it was interesting when I read at Cells for Life that patients with corona disease 19 are on, let me get this right here, a trial, clinicaltrials.gov trial of trying human umbilical cord mesenchymal stem cells therapy for severe pneumonia patients infected with COVID-19. So these stem cells will help to repair damaged tissues in the respiratory system and promote faster healing and recovery. That is what God wants. He wants to heal us. No matter if we use human organs or human parts, like a umbilical cord. That is, the use of this meant to help people heal from coronavirus. They'll be administered through an IV infusion delivered directly into the patient's veins. These patients will be evaluated during the 90-day to 96-week period following the stem cell treatment. So I believe if there's a way to cure someone of HIV, then we should be able to do what we can to cure people of COVID. There's about a 95% recovery rate, by the way, of coronavirus. So if you've never heard Flattening the Curve, well, congratulations. You've just heard it here on Keeping It with Alex Garrett. If you've never heard of social distancing, congratulations. You've heard it here, and thanks for listening. And so think about that. Social distance yourself. Not by staying home, but by taking measures to not shake hands with anybody or to not get real close to them, in other words. And as I've been saying, this is what the society's been telling us to try and preach for years. Wash your hands, wash your face, wash everything. And maybe now we'll finally do it. I'm Alex Garrett, and if you want more information, go to cellsforlife.com or thespinoff.co.nz. They're in New Zealand and Dr. Wiles. Have a great rest of your day, and be safe, be cautious, and remember to just, follow Paul Winter's lead. Follow a Zen kind of way, and truly, truly, truly relax, not panic, go about your daily life, and report yourself if you feel symptoms of this virus, as we do not want anyone else to lose their lives. President Trump today saying 32 is too much. I agree with him. Too many lives lost. So let's truly work together and boost our efforts, just like actually our government's doing right now, and our institutions are, by banning all these sporting events and Broadway and the St. Patrick's Day Parade. I always think it's bad to cancel things out of fear, but you know what? It's not a fear. It's a reality. It's a real approach to what's going on. And we just got to relax through it and know that our lives are more important than a final score in a baseball, hockey, basketball, or NCAA tournament game. The bettors might disagree, but I just think, why would you risk losing your life for a bet that can be made another day? I'm Alex Garrett. Here's some more Paul Winter.